Hi, everyone. This is Mike. I just wanted to let you know before the episode starts that there was an issue with the app we use to record our tracks online, and it caused some weird muffling things to happen occasionally with Tyler's audio. It doesn't happen too much, and I edited a lot of it out, but I just wanted to let you know it's in there. So if that's one of the kind of things that you notice, I apologize in advance. With that, enjoy this week's Mailbag episode.
Welcome to Codex, History of Video Games. My name's Tyler Osby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
And this week, it's a mailbag episode. We're going to go into our email inbox and read some emails out of there and respond to them. We're also going to read some emails, or just one email, from our mailbag channel on Discord, which is a great place to ask your questions if you don't mind your question being asked sort of publicly, I guess. You can always send us an email, but if you want to have maybe a discussion or something, you can use the Discord channel. I don't know. It's another way to send a question.
That's right. That's the way to do it. So I'm going to start us off. So the first question is from Casino Tarantino. We've got this from Casino before. Here we go. Hey guys, I've done it. I finally caught up, and to celebrate, we get to share some chaotic Zelda trivia. In Twilight Princess, if you don't know already, casting went completely into the left field, and they almost got the rapper 50 Cent to voice act for Epona.
What?
And other reports I was reading said that they did the fitness sensation Richard Simmons to voice act Tingle.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, that does make way more sense. Bonus chaotic fact for Tingle, he got what seems to be a dating sim, only released in Japan, August of 2009, called Freshly Picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. And for the future chaos part of my email, I present the longest video game title that I know of. Summer Colored High School Adolescent Record. A summer at school on an island where I contemplate how the first day I transferred, I ran into a child friend and was forced to join the journalism club, where while my days as a paparazzi kid with great scoops made me rather popular among the girls, but strangely, my camera is full of panty shots, and where my candid romance is going, yes, this is the actual title.
That's the whole title
The
of
whole
the game.
thing I just read, starting with Summer Colored High School. That was the start of the title.
Wow.
Impressive. Those are some pretty impressive facts. Some
Indeed.
random weird trivia. The Richard Simmons as Tingle makes sense. The 50 Cent as Epona does not make sense. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, 50 Cent as Epona does not make sense.
50 Cent Blood in the Sand makes sense.
Yes, I'm a big fan.
Have we talked about that yet?
50 Cent Blood on the Sand?
Yeah, have we done that yet? We should just cover it.
I feel like I don't think we've done an official.
We were gonna play it together, and we haven't done that yet either.
That's what I think we were waiting for, was to figure out a way to play it together, because it does not have System Link.
That's right. We have to just figure it out, kind of.
Yeah, and the game is actually expensive to purchase a legitimate copy of, so we have to figure out some other way of perhaps borrowing it from friends or something like that. But we'll figure something out. We can talk about that. I've got ideas.
Okay. Actually, I just noticed here the next email we're going to read is actually from Eric, not the one before it. Sorry, okay. I just started it. So it was the first email from Eric, because I replied to Eric as well. So
okay, let me find that one. There's so many emails in here. Eric, the greetings one?
Yep, greetings.
Okay, great. Next email comes from Eric. Hello, Mike and Tyler. My wife and I discovered your podcast about 6 months ago while doing some research into video game history to build out a high school gaming program we run in the Philadelphia area. Your podcast is truly a breath of fresh air, as a lot of your gaming experiences are very similar to some of my own, as my intro to gaming was Super Mario Bros. And the NES in the late 1980s. The nostalgia is amazing, and I'm incredibly happy to hear that someone else loves Red Faction 2 as much as me. Cheers to you, Mike.
Yeah.
My brother and cousins used to play the multiplayer mode all the time and would share many laughs as we would try to use the magnetic rail driver and try to take each other out through walls. Great times, LOL. So I'm making my way through your podcast, and I'm currently at episode 150, Days of Futures Past Vibes, LOL. And I believe at the end of episode 148, a question about your favorite pre-order item or item from in-game that you would want in real life. For me, for the pre-order item, I have two. For the first, Destiny, I remember receiving a black rubber wristband with a white Destiny logo on it that I wore all the time. Destiny holds a special place in my heart as I played both the first and second games with my oldest son, and we shared many great memories. My second was from God of War, which included a statue of Kratos and his son fighting off the zombie creatures. As for in game, I have always been a big fan of Squall's Gunblade. Wish you guys all the best. Thanks for all you do. Gluteus Maximus of the arachnid variety, Eric from Futures Past.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad we have another Red Faction 2 stan in the
Yeah.
crowd as well.
Yep. And a Destiny guy.
And a Destiny guy, too. I mean, did we just become best friends, Eric? I don't know what happened. Okay.
Yeah,
I actually am really excited because it's kind of unrelated, but I recently bought Red Faction 1 so I could do an episode on Red Faction because I feel like I've talked it up so much on this podcast, but I actually haven't done episodes on it. So I am currently starting Red Faction, as in I did the tutorial and that's about it, but I am playing it, the first Red Faction.
Nice.
Yes, we'll talk about that more at the end. But thank you, Eric, for the email. The next email is from Dalton. Dalton says, podcast full listen. It's actually, he sent two emails, so I'll just read them both. I'll read the first one and the second one. I recently found your podcast and am listening from the first episode to the newest, and I refuse to listen to the new episodes until I 100% complete your podcasts. I'm currently at episode 73. P.S. The conversations of games you're playing or excited about is so funny to listen to now, knowing the extent of what actually happened to those games, like the Intellivision Amico, excuse me. That's true. So that's the first part of Dalton's email. Second part, episode 101, casual games. Hi, it's Dalton. I'm still wading through your entire backlog of episodes. Just reached episode 101 of the casual game discussion to say my favorite casual game is Slime Rancher. Both 1 and 2 are great games, not game breaking or different, but just fun. I've never played a Slime Rancher game.
Me neither. That must be, I think that's a spinoff of Dragon Quest.
I think so too. I think you're right. We should.
Stuff. Those slime guys are everywhere in Tokyo, at least in Japan, like in like gacha machines and stuff. Like the slime character is very cute and very popular, I guess.
The slime character cometh, you could say.
I just remember seeing the slime everywhere.
Oops, all slime. If you walk through Tokyo, you see slimes everywhere.
Yep.
Do you want to read Alexa's email?
Yes. Alexa's email has the subject line, protagonists. Hey crew, wanted to say thanks for making an episode with my idea. It's always nice to see. Maybe we'll get to see a tier list on antagonists someday. We did a tier list on protagonists a few episodes back. That was Alexa's idea. That was me talking, not the email. Okay, back to Alexa's email. Also wanted to share a couple thoughts on characters. For Isaac Clarke, I think it's totally fine to use his latest incarnation as a base for a rating because he had a voice actor. He's had a voice actor more than he hasn't. He spoke in the second and third games. I guess he just had laryngitis in the first game or something. I don't know. The reason I like this character so much is that he's just this average Joe Schmo mining character who gets thrust into this insane and terrifying situation and prevails against all sorts of threats. Also, fun fact, his name comes from a combination of Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, both known for their contributions to science fiction. Oh man, those two guys basically invented science fiction.
True.
Wow. Yeah. I like Asimov a lot. I really liked iRobot. Secondly, alongside Gaseous Snake needing to be a character, we also need to have Plasma Snake and Bose-Einstein Condensate Snake. I don't think we can consider the franchise dead until all states of matter are represented. Anyway, thanks for the great content as usual, Alexa.
Thank you. I would agree with that. Would you just call it BEC Snake for Bose-Einstein Condensate Snake?
Yeah, and then I think I don't know anything about the properties of Bose-Einstein Condensate, but whatever those properties are, you need to sort of give them to the character in some way into their psyche or their something. There could be something cool there. But I don't know what those things are. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know anything. I've never heard about Bose-Einstein Condensate until right now.
I've heard a little bit about it, but so let me ask a sidetrack Metal Gear Solid question then for you, Tyler. And this might be going into spoiler territory as I don't know the games very well. Do the different snakes, like does Solid Snake and Liquid Snake, do they have like a special thing that makes them the reason they're called that, or no?
It's not too spoilery to say that Solid Snake and Liquid Snake are both clones of the same older snake. Big
Big
Boss.
Boss. Yeah,
Both
we've talked
yeah,
about this
they're
before on
both
the
clones.
podcast.
They are different clones, which is strange because then they're not really truly clones, but they are both related in that way. And then there is also Solidus Snake in the second game, who is also a clone of Boss.
Solidus.
Yeah,
Solidus. They just
Solidus
made
Snake.
up a word
Yeah, just
for it.
made up a word for it.
Oh man. Well, all right. Solidus snake it is. All right. I got a message here from Joel. All right.
Okay.
And Joel is going for a record here. And that record is longest codex email ever. And now the reason it's really long is because there is some really interesting poetry in it. Gosh, it goes on forever. I don't know if I'm going to read the poetry part.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to read the email part. The PS, the postscript is extremely long. Okay, so here we go. Longest codex email ever! Exclamate like a lot of exclamation points. Howdy, Joel from the state whose name means friendship here. Is that true? Is that what Texas means? Friendship? Really?
Sure, sure.
Cool. All right. Now we know something. Let's just get into it with a deep topic. With the ongoing WGA and SAG AFTRA strikes in Hollywood, which are largely to poorly simplify a result of Hollywood companies seeking to use AI in film and television, I think it would be a fitting question to ask and ponder. How will the recent advancements in AI generated content affect the gaming industry? Will companies start integrating AI content into games, or will it be just a passing industry trend? Seeing how OpenAI is reportedly losing a lot of money, it might be that one. From what I know, the gaming industry has nowhere near the same worker protections that the entertainment industry does, and even they still have to fight hard against it. If gaming companies decide to go the same route as Hollywood, is there really any way to fight against it? Anyway, here's a softer topic. Because the coming AI coup is not exactly Hello Kitty, there are 3 different game series that I am surprised y'all have not fully covered yet that I remember.
We want to talk about the AI stuff before we go further in.
Yeah, we could do that. I was going to go back at the end, but we could do that. Let's do that for now.
Yeah.
Let's just do the AI stuff. But it's just we got to remember to read the second half of the email because
Yeah.
otherwise,
So we don't need to we don't need to make this whole episode about AI, which we
which
totally.
we almost did last time we talked about AI. So we got to be careful.
Yeah. So if I probably said this, I hope that we don't use it. The gaming industry doesn't use it too much to automate away jobs that people are doing, including entry level jobs, because a lot of people come up through making the stuff that like people don't really want to make. Like you can have AI create like a million different types of rocks, and like that's cool. There are people whose job is to create rocks too, and um, well, I'm sure they would love to be doing something else. There is like you have to sort of start somewhere, right? And if we can have AI create a million rocks and we don't ever hire rock creators, then the more senior people like that there's no path to becoming that senior person. That's what people actually want to be, right? Nobody wants to make a million rocks, but you kind of have to make a million rocks to get to the point where you do what you want to do. Um, and to build your skill, I mean, not in a like paying your dues or like that kind of thing, but just like to build your skills, right? So I hope that it doesn't affect jobs too much. That said, I think there are some really cool things that you could do, like having tons and tons of NPCs in games where they are all distinct personalities with like dialogue and stuff that and you can actually talk to them in a way that's just like not feasible to do. It just for like a game like say something like Starfield or those like Bethesda big RPGs that just have tons of people in them, right? Being able to make every person their own person is something that would be really cool and probably a pretty cool use of AI, I think. Anyway, what do you think?
I mean, I wasn't even really thinking about the graphic design parts of it. I was actually thinking more of the administration side of gaming, like marketing, and
Oh,
because you know how easy it is to have a AI write a press release for you.
yeah, yeah, and I'm sure those folks are going to use for that. Again, I don't want people to lose their jobs to AI, but I do want AI to augment the things that we already do. And if
Yeah,
writing press releases is a way for like entry level marketing people to sort of come up in the marketing world, then I don't want AI to do it. But if that's like a thing that nobody wants to do and there's no value in anybody doing it except that it has to happen, then sure, have AI do it, right?
yeah. If it makes it easier on someone, that's great. That's kind of how I feel too. But I really like because I know the big part about the SAG WGA strikes. Well, WGA it's obviously having a AI write scripts, right?
Yeah.
But for SAG-AFTRA, it's actually an issue where they can use AI tools to like take someone's voice. They can do this. They're doing it now, right? They can do this and have you say things in your voice without you recording it. So it's like kind of a weird loophole to not pay you anything. And
Mhm.
that's like the issue with voice acting specifically. And so that's kind of the problem. I really think it's going to be hard for like, because we've all seen the weird like actors that are, for example, have passed away that are in a
Yeah.
scene and it looks kind of weird. I'm less worried about that, and I'm more worried about writing jobs going away and more worried about voice actors being affected than anything. And that's the hard part. Is and I do think that I'm going to say we don't get political on here, but I support the strike. It's something that should be addressed before it gets out of hand.
Yeah,
You know,
it needs to have there needs to be some sort of guardrails put in place. There are lots of things that good things that AI can do. There are a lot of bad things that AI can do, and we need to like before the bad things sort of take over the industry and that becomes the only way you can do things to be competitive, we need to like get some guidelines and guardrails in place.
yeah. I regarding the Joel's question about it being a passing industry trend, I don't think it will be.
I don't think so either.
I just based on the nature of like the things it can do that like make people's lives easier, like proofreading, for example. Like
Yeah.
proofreading a thing for grammar is super great to use an AI thing for. In
Yeah.
fact, I kind of like obviously I worked at a school for a bit. I would argue that students shouldn't like make the AI write their papers for them. They should write their papers and then just put it through the AI for grammar because it would be like, oh, look how much better your score is going to be on your paper because your paper is grammatically correct. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that would be more of a benefit than having it write the paper for you at this point. But I I don't think it's a passing trend. I do think companies, if they haven't already started integrated AI content into games, there was a thing about this already with a company doing voice acting that was already using AI
Mhm.
tools to make lines for people.
Which
So
again could be very cool in a like we have 10,000 NPCs in this game and obviously we're not going to record like 10 lines each for all 10,000 of these NPCs when like you're only going to talk to 20 of them in your whole playthrough, right? But
yeah,
like so like that could be a cool use of it, but we need to make sure that the people whose voices are being used are compensated for that, right? Like the worry is that you'll have somebody who's like a brand new voice actor who's very very good, but they don't have a ton of money, and so when somebody says, "Here, we'll give you $5,000 and you give us the rights to your voice in perpetuity," they might take that deal because they have to pay rent this month, right?
hmm,
Whereas and then they'll never get hired again because their voice exists in an AI and they don't have to work like right. So we need to make sure that if you're going to use somebody's AI generated voice, that they get compensated for that fairly.
for sure. And also the SAG after strike too. There's another element of it. It's not just AI; it's also
Yes.
streaming because streaming is kind of a weird loophole for people to not get paid, and that's
Yeah,
like
'cause
a serious issue.
Netflix and all those people, they don't have to release their numbers the same way that like Nielsen ratings are a thing. So like people can't know how well their things are doing, and then they can't get paid. Like there's no like standard for like we will pay you X per stream the way that there is in when something gets like syndicated or something. If you're on a network TV show and it gets syndicated, like you get paid for the episodes as they air because that's part of how SAG after works. Like they make sure you get paid for that, and that's why the union is a good thing. But there isn't any of that for streaming, so they need that.
Yeah, there's nothing
And
funnier to me, by the way. This is a little bit off topic. When like I would meet someone or I knew a comic who started doing really well in LA or show business, and I'm using that term very loosely, and people automatically thought they were rich. I'm
yeah,
like, no, dude, no, you don't know how this works.
you don't just get money because people know you.
Yeah, that's not how it works. It just you get it like there was talking like there's stories about this where people that act in big shows are talking about how they can't pay rent,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one other thing to say as far as industry trend stuff goes. I don't think it's a trend in the sense that like people will stop using AI. I think we'll stop hearing about it in a couple of years because it'll just be part of how things are done. And hopefully by the time that happens, we will have protections in place so that AI can be used in a thoughtful way that makes people's lives easier, which I think it has huge potential to do, and not in a way that makes people get paid less.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. We have more on this
Yeah.
email. So
Do you?
we're gonna
Oh, okay. You like? Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Yeah.
unless you have something else to say.
I mean, I don't. I think we've done a really good job covering it. I think you pretty much nailed it. I think we're on the same wavelength here. This isn't like Sora. Okay, it's not the same. It's very different. All right. So here's the second part of the email. I'm just going to start from the beginning again. Anyway, here is a softer topic because the coming AI coup is not exactly Hello Kitty. There are 3 different game series that I'm surprised y'all have not covered yet that I remember. Honestly, we may have covered them too, and we don't remember, Joel.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting to say the
Someday
least.
we're going to do an episode we've already done before, and it's going to be real embarrassing.
It's going to be really embarrassing. First off, The Sims is one of the best-selling franchises, and while SimCity has been covered, The Sims has not been, and I think it probably should be. I think I agree with you. I'm just going to full stop right
Yes.
there. In fact, it's a little funny anecdote. I'm sitting at the Olive Garden with my wife. No big deal. NBD. We go to the Olive Garden, and
Where
she
you're famous.
says, "I wanted to talk to you about a video game," and I got really excited because she never wants to talk about video games. And she says, "Have you heard of Sim Ant?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have heard of Sim Ant." And so she wants me to do an episode on Sim Ant. Now, with that, I feel like we can't do Sim Ant and not talk about The Sims. So we're probably going to do a Sims thing coming up. And I know Tyler, your partner, is a huge fan of The Sims as
Yes,
well.
that is true.
So this is something we've thought about and something we'll probably cover. I played The Sims for PlayStation 2, the original Sims, so I have some experience with it. Um,
Oh,
the,
that's
the
a very different game from the PC version, I think.
yeah, the big thing we talked about at dinner was how she's like, "Did you pull the ladder from the?" She's like, "Well, actually, she said it this way. This is how she phrased it. She said, "There's a thing you can do in The Sims," and I said, without missing a beat, "Pulling the ladder from the pool so they can't get out." And she's like, "How did you know that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "That's the thing that I said too. Like when my friend said there's a thing from The Sims, I also cut them off and did the same thing." I'm like, "I think pulling the ladder from the pool is one of the most well-known things you can do in the original Sims,
Hmm.
right? To the point where it has to be a choice the developers made as something you could do in that
Yeah,
sense.
I suppose so. Or maybe it's just so obvious
Yeah. I
of a
mean,
thing that you can do. I mean, there's lots of stuff. You can also set up a million barbecues. Like there are myriad ways to kill your Sims in The Sims.
so many ways. So, yes, The Sims is definitely something that we think should be covered. The next game, and I'm going to keep reading here, the second one is one of the most impactful game franchises in gaming history, Grand Theft Auto. Considering
Mhm.
how much it has influenced the game industry and how much money it earns, I think it deserves at least one episode.
Like we have talked about Grand Theft Auto.
We've talked about it in the essence of Ultimate History of Video Games and those kind of books. The reason we haven't, there is a reason for this one, is because there was a time when you and I were talking about stuff about, do we do the studio or do we do the games?
Oh yeah,
And Rockstar is so big to us that it's one of those ones where it's like, do we do the studio or do we do the games? That's my thoughts on it. And we just
yeah,
never really made a choice, which is why that happened.
yeah. Because I agree. Grand Theft Auto 3 is probably barring like early some of the earliest video games. That are obviously the first video games are very important to history, but like I think in modern history of video games, Grand Theft Auto 3 is probably the most important game. Like
Yeah.
just in terms of influence and like how well it did, the controversies, like it just touches on everything. The game is great. It had a huge impact on game design, so much so that we've talked about this. The second Jack game is so different than what it would have been if Grand Theft Auto 3 hadn't come out. It also had all the controversies around the violence and all that stuff. So we resurfaced all that stuff that I thought we were done with 10 years before Grand Theft Auto 3. So like, yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3 is fantastic. Great, just a great game in general, but also like very influential in a number of ways.
Yeah, and also in the way that, like, we've talked before about how there's fads in video games. Like we all had one of our favorite fads, plastic instruments, I think
Hmm.
you could say,
Yep,
or the battle royale fad that is, I think, kind of coming down now as far
a
as.
little bit. Yeah, those games still for sure exist and have their audience, but it's not quite as like a gold rush as it was.
Yeah, but I would argue the open world fad never really died.
No,
And that
not
was
for
entirely made by Grand Theft Auto.
Yep.
So,
It was
and
a fad for a little while, but then it just kept going, and now it's just how games are made, or how a lot of games are made, not all games.
yeah, think about all those Ubisoft games where there's a tower that unlocks more of the map, or I mean, now Zelda. When you think about it, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, same kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So there's that kind of stuff. You can kind of thank Grand Theft Auto for being the beginnings of the open world, not the tower thing, but the open world in general.
Mhm.
Lastly, I'm going to keep reading his Joel here. Lastly, but most importantly, the mainline Mario series. Y'all have talked about Mario Kart already, but mainline Mario has yet to receive much love, methinks. I know y'all don't care about Mario nearly as much as our favorite green clothed Italian plumber friend Luigi, and believe me, I understand. But I think we got to give the man in red some love, especially now that his voice actor has retired. So long, Charles Martinet. I wish you a merry retirement. Sorry for my inability to keep things short. I have a surprisingly large amount of things to talk about for an introvert, neon spider butts, Joel. And I have run out of gaming titles to give myself, is what he says. It just says Joel. Yeah, I agree. So we had Super Mario 3. We had Elise Nor on to talk about Super Mario Brothers 3. So we have covered that. But we haven't done the first one or the second one because they were touched on in Ultimate History video games a little bit. When that kind of happens, I don't know about you, Tyler. I'm kind of speaking for both of us here. So if I'm lying, let me know. That when that happens, I personally think we can kind of get away with not covering it for a bit. But if that's something I'm completely wrong about, then maybe we should just go dive right into Mario.
I'm okay either way.
We could do it for sure. We could talk about what's hilarious is Joel says we talked about Mario Kart already. I don't remember talking about Mario Kart. Did we talk about it?
I think so. Ooh,
This is
going
this
back
is
into
this is the hard part about doing
our
255 episodes of this show. But
literally hundreds of episodes of the show. We cannot remember them all.
dude, I also get so because well, I'll talk about that at the end. I'll talk about this at the end because I
Mario.
went to
We did
PAX
two
and I want to
episodes.
talk about my time at PAX at the end of the show today. Is that okay with you?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll do
we,
that.
we did 2 episodes of Mario Kart.
Oh, wow. I don't
Episode
remember
92
it.
and 95.
I don't remember it at all. Like it's just out of my brain, just
You
completely
wrote
gone.
7 pages for Mario Kart Part 2.
Wait, it was my episode too?
I think so.
Oh my gosh, that makes it even worse that I wrote the script
Yeah,
for it
you
and I don't
totally
remember.
did. Absolutely.
There's just so much stuff I've tried to cram into my brain for this podcast that I can't remember to the point where I feel bad because people are like, "Hey, remember this thing?" And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, man. I get like little trendy gamey things in my head that I just like stick to it and I can't get it out. But yeah, that's that. Joel, I'm not gonna read your whole script part you put on here. I hope you'll forgive me, Joel. Please don't. Please don't be upset. But that's a lot. It's a lot to read. It's essentially like a long script that like scrolls all the way down.
It's just B movie.
It is B movie. It is.
The memes.
The memes are strong with this one. Okay. Do you want to read the next email called Fallout Hopes and Dreams? This is from Casino Tarantino again.
Yeah, Fallout, Hopes and Dreams. Hey guys, Casino Tarantino here. I had a fun thought to discuss, even with Discord folks. What future location would you like to see in Fallout and why? Personally, I think digging into more of my state, Utah, like they started to with Zion and the Mormon camp in New Vegas, would be really cool. Utah has Thykal, where I don't know what that is, where they produce space shuttle parts. Hill
Ooh,
Air Force Base, Kearns, Utah, used to be a military camp during World War II. Kearns Junior High, that I went to, used to be the base there. There's old military tunnels all through Kearns and great scenery, all of which I think would be incredible in a Fallout game. That does sound like a pretty good
that
place.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you could get real weird with like with some of the like cults and stuff that are out there, probably.
for sure. Casino Tarantino rocks it again. I do think that would be great. Personally, like short of being like I want my local area to be on there, like Washington
I
State.
definitely want Pacific Northwest. I think did Fallout 76 do some stuff there?
I'm not sure. I actually just that's a what you've been playing I missed, by the way, that we need to talk about at the end of this episode is I did try Fallout 76 for the first time a couple weeks ago and I completely forgot to talk about it on the podcast. But they did Anchorage. I mean, Operation Anchorage expansion,
Yeah.
but that was more of like a war. It was almost like playing Call of Duty in a Fallout game in a way.
Yeah. I remember that feeling of like it was kind of just a first person shooter campaign. It was fun. I liked it.
It was
But
fun.
maybe
Here's my thought, and to not like obviously Washington State Pacific Northwest would be great, but I want them to go international finally. I want like somewhere in the EU, somewhere in like Africa, Asia, any other continent, Antarctica. That would be boring. Don't do Antarctica. But like South America.
Fallout 76 is like Appalachia, like West Virginia. And
Yeah, that's West Virginia. Oh, you meant like where? I thought you meant there was like an expansion in it that took you somewhere. No,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I could have told you it's in West Virginia. My bad.
oh, yeah, for some reason I thought. Yeah, I agree. I'm not as keen on them going international with it because I think part of the huge appeal of Fallout's like uh uh atmosphere is the like American history part of it, where it's like the world has been frozen in like 1950s American history. And so I guess you could do that somewhere else, but I don't think it would resonate as well with me. Like I don't know about like France's 1950s history, and so like those old songs that they would play like just don't mean anything to me.
What if you did post World War II 1950s Germany, because that's like
Could be
America one side, communism the other side.
cool. Mhm.
They
Yeah,
could like
sure.
do that. That would be kind of a cool way to like still keep some of the Americanness in it.
Yeah. I just think that's core to Fallout, where, I mean, you could do a game, sure, and like a similar thing, and, like, I just don't know if it would mean as much to
You heard
me.
it here, folks. Tyler loves American exceptionalism in Fallout games. Heard it here first.
Mm,
I'm just kidding.
well,
I kind of agree. I said the international part, and then you made that argument, and I'm second guessing myself.
I'm not saying they can't make a good game there, I just think a large part of why I like Fallout would be lost doing that, but that doesn't mean that, there are people in Europe that play Fallout, and they're like, "I don't care about 1950s America," and they are right to not care about that, so.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So we did that. We did Fallout Hopes and Dreams. I am going to now read this email from Kevin. I just combined Kevin for some Kevin and Evelyn. Kevin from Buffalo, Wyoming says, "Thanks, guys. Hi, Mike and Tyler. Wanted to send another message thanking you both for bringing us the Codex podcast. I continue to enjoy the show, and I'm grateful for what you both put into it. The episodes, while you both were at Mike's, had a great energy to them, and your tier lists are fun. They are a cool format to learn both sides of the story. In my tier list of podcasts, yours would be the only S tier show." Oh, that's so
Dang.
nice.
Thank you, Kevin.
Last but not least, congratulations, Mike, on getting married. Wishing you the best. Thank you, Kevin. That's from Kevin from Buffalo, Wyoming. I love it. It's Wyoming. You can't say, because I think Buffalo, people would think New York, but we
Yeah.
got Wyoming up in here,
Mhm.
which is awesome. So thank you, Kevin, for the marriage wishes. It was fun. Tyler was there. Tyler was at the wedding.
I was there, yep.
We watched a meteor shower because it just turned out to be a good night in that way.
Yep.
It was kind of a meteor sprinkle, though, I would
Yeah, it
say.
wasn't as cool as it could have been, but, I mean, we weren't expecting any meteors, so.
Yeah, and we still saw meteors, so that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Do you want to read this one that's from Jesse from Minnesota?
Yes, I do. The subject line is achievements. Hey, Mike and Tyler, Jesse here from Minnesota. This is a bit of a long question slash topic. I was wondering how big of achievement slash trophy hunters you both are. I myself got way too into it back in the 360 days, and it started with getting that easy 1,000 gamer score in all the 2K6 sports games and the Avatar game. It got to the point where I bought a Japanese Xbox so I could do visual novels, which you could usually get all the achievements in under an hour. You could also, air quotes, stack certain games, such as Bully, where the Japanese version had a separate achievement list from the version of other regions. It got to a point where it would make me ignore my Nintendo systems, which leads me to another question. Should Nintendo introduce an achievement system? How many more people would go for that last Korok seed and golden turd to get the last achievement in Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom?
Well,
Question mark.
that's a
What do you
good
think?
question, Jesse. That's a really good question, Jesse. Let's start with the trophy hunters part. I become an achievement trophy hunter person with very specific games that I love. Like if I get really into a game, I really love it because I 100% achievements it. Like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Oblivion, 100% achievements, all those. Jurassic World Evolution, too. I 100% achievements that as well. What about you, Tyler?
I would say I'm the same way. I don't obsess over it for most games. I enjoy it. Like seeing achievement unlocked is like a nice little dopamine hit, right? When we're playing these Quake games, we're going through Quake 2 right now, Mike and I. Spoilers for what you've been playing. But every time you finish a level, you get a little ba-dunk and get some gamer score, and that I like that. It doesn't make me want to go back and make sure I get everything that I possibly can. But there in games that I particularly like a lot of, I will usually look through the achievements list and see how easy is not really the right word, but how I guess how easily I would be to get all of the achievements. I don't usually like it when games make you do another playthrough, making different choices to get different achievements. I don't really like that kind of stuff. But the Miles Morales Spider-Man game, that was perfect because you can kind of do all of the things as long as while you're doing the main storyline stuff. If you go out of your way to stop a crime or get the they're not backpacks in the Miles Morales one. I forget what they are. That the little tchotchkes that you find that
Spider Butts?
spider butts. Yeah, every time you find one, you get a cool piece of his backstory with his friend. Um, and so you can get everything in one playthrough of the Miles Morales game, which I really really enjoyed. And so I did go out of my way to make sure I stopped crimes and did certain things that I might not have normally gone out of my way to do. But I'm not going to go back and play 3 times so that I can get it on easy, normal, hard, new game plus, and all those other things. So like, would I have gotten every last Korok seed in Breath of the Wild for an achievement?
Isn't it like
Probably not.
3,000?
There were 900.
900. Isn't there like over 1,000 in the new one though, in Tears of the
I
Kingdom?
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that would have been worth it to me,
As much as I
but
love Hestu, that's a lot of work.
yeah. That said, I would love an achievement system on Nintendo Switch. I generally like it when like I like getting achievements, but I don't obsess over them usually.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I think for Nintendo, like they probably just because of the nature of like catching up to the times of video games, they probably should do that. But for me, I don't think it's necessary because Nintendo games for me have always just been about like fun. It feels
Mm-hmm.
more like, and also it's for like little kids. Like little kids don't need to achievement hunt realistically, right? They just need to play the game and have a good time. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm out of it. I don't know what the kids like. I'm an old man now.
I like being recognized for doing something cool in a game, you know? I like it. I like getting a little bit of a recognition, especially in single player games where you can like sort of people can look at your profile. Like I imagine everybody's looking at my profile all day, every day, which is not true. But like it's cool. Like when people look at my Steam profile, it might not be on Steam. I might have done this on Xbox, but I did the thing where you carry the gnome from the beginning of Half-Life 2 episode 2 all the way to the end of the game. And it's not easy, and it's like definitely a different way to play that game. Um, and and all you get for it is an achievement. I think that's kind of cool though. Like people can look at my achievements on Xbox or Steam, wherever I did it, and be like, "Oh, he did that thing." You know, I think that's kind of cool.
I do too. That would be a cool thing to if they really increased the I don't want to say effectiveness. That's not right. Making it feel like it's more important for your Nintendo internet profile to have some sort of way to like brag about those kind of things. Because right now, I think we can all agree, and we've talked about it in the past, Nintendo's internet
Yeah.
profile for their online Nintendo stuff is kind of weird. It's gotten better. It's gotten a
Hmm.
lot better, but it's still they just don't have that infrastructure there. I think for that yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I also don't really care about gamer score. Like the number attached to it doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm not particularly impressed when I see somebody has a big gamer score. I'm like, well, you did the easy 1000 score in all the 2K6 sports games in the Avatar game, which I did do the Avatar game because it literally takes about 20 seconds to get 1000 gamer score. And I don't find that to be that interesting. But the specific achievements I think are cool.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with you there too. And also, didn't it? I wonder if it made Avatar more valuable because of that. Did it raise the price of it?
That's a good question. I rented it.
Oh, you did. Nice. Well, man,
I did.
renting
I rented
games.
it, and I probably my buddies and I all passed it around. I think I'm sure Matt in Japan, he probably got his 1000 gamer score with the same copy of Avatar that I did.
Matt, let us know if you got your 1,000 gamer store. We need to know. We need to know. All right. Thank you so much for that, though, Jesse. Appreciate it in Minnesota. So that's that. I think that's a yeah. Also, there would be people that do the Korok seed thing. We didn't really answer
Oh
that
yeah.
question.
Well,
hundred
people do
percent.
it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think maybe more people would have done it if they had an achievement for it, but it wouldn't have motivated me further probably just knowing how sort of like huge that task is.
Yeah, I got all the shrines in Breath of the Wild, and when I tell people that, they don't think of me as a really cool guy, so I'm probably not going to do that in Tears of the Kingdom, to be honest. I'm just kind of going to beat the game. I still haven't beaten the game.
I
I
think
stopped playing it
cool guy.
completely. Yeah, but all right. I can't. What happened? Did it cut out there? I'm going to write something down.
I said I think of you as a really cool guy, Mike, and then you just sort of were like, yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny. Sorry, I missed that. It like cut off in the recording. That's so funny that you said that. All right. I'm gonna just pause for 5 seconds and I'm gonna fix this. You ready?
Or leave it in.
Thank you so much, Tyler. That means so much to me. I'm not gonna edit this. I'm just gonna leave this part in. This whole stretch. All right, let's read the last email with Matt.
Okay, speaking of Matt in Japan, we got one from him called Hidden Identities.
Yeah, did you want to read this one? You're reading this one, right?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Matt says, your guys' discussion on Atari not giving credits to its workers as a way to keep them from getting poached by other developers was not limited to Atari or even the US. Capcom did a similar thing with the early Mega Man games, but rather than giving no credit, they gave everyone aliases. The most infamous of these was the sound designer Yoshihiro Sakaguchi, who was credited as Yuki-chan's papa. HMD was the alias of programmer Nobuyuki Matsushima, whose handle would later be used in Beautiful Joe as the design of Joe's shirt when he's not wearing his superhero costume. Speaking of which, Beautiful Joe seriously needs an HD remaster or even a modern console port. It's been 20 years. A, there's no way it's been 20 years. That game is like 5 years old max. B, it does need an HD remaster.
It's true.
It has been 20 years. That game is, oh man, I feel old.
I don't think I've ever played Beautiful Joe.
I haven't either, but I remember when it came out and how it was like people were talking about, like, it was like kind of a big deal when it came out. It was very cool. And can't believe it's been 20 years.
Well, Matt, thank you for sharing those fun facts with us. I love that they had
I'm also
aliases.
surprised it hasn't had an HD remaster. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy to me.
I'm going to have another game I want to talk about that I think should have an HD remaster after this. Okay.
Okay.
Although that's our last email in the email inbox. Now we got to go to Discord because there's a Discord. I made a Discord channel called Mailbag. If you have any more mailbag questions for us, you can just post them in the Discord or the mailbag. Tyler and I are going to check it. We're going to be on there. I'm probably just going to like check mark them off when they're done. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little check mark emoji on it to be like, I read your question on the podcast. That's how I'm going to do it. Does that seem right to you?
Sure.
All right, cool. So this one's from Mo. It says, with Charles Martinet stepping down from his role as the voice of Mario, I started thinking more about the impact of voice acting in games. I listened to the new Mario voice in the Mario Wonder preview video, and it definitely sounds a little bit off, and that's in quotes. They haven't announced who Martinet's replacement is, but I noticed a few of the new Wahoos sounded a little bit Mickey Mouse-ish. I wonder if the new voice of Mario is Brett Iwan, the current voice actor for Mickey Mouse. Question: what are some of your favorite video game voices, either the character or the voice actor? It's really good. It's a really good question, Mo. I don't know how I feel about I guess I know how I feel about it. Charles Martinet deserves to retire. I get it. That's fine. For me, they can probably find someone that's just like him, you know? So my whole thought process is if people don't like his voice now in this game, I think Nintendo will hear that and they'll change to a different voice actor. That's kind of how I think it'll go. But favorite video game voices, easily Rex from Mass Effect is one of my favorite video game voices of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Shia Gorath from Oblivion is very good.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? You have any off the top of your head, just off the dome?
Oh, I gotta go with David Hayter for Solid Snake.
That's a good one.
Big Boss, at least in Metal Gear Solid 3, Big Boss. David Hayter is perfect. And I'm so glad they cast him in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Savathun from Destiny, also.
Ooh, great voice actress.
Close personal friend of Tyler.
That's true. You guys got me a cameo for my birthday that was really good. And it was long. It was like 6 minutes long, and she went hard. It was good.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I should have, like, we both, like, it happened and I was like, you should charge more money because you really killed it. Like, she was so good at it. It was so great. Maybe sometime, if you're up for it, Tyler, you can share that cameo in our Discord.
Because she did some stuff where she was like talking to me sort of as herself, like saying happy birthday. And then like Savathun took over and she like changed her voice and like her face changed too. Like, oh man.
I get scared thinking about it still.
Yeah, it was scary. She's a good actress.
Very good. Yeah, it was. She's amazing. And she's in other stuff too, which is really cool to see her like pop up in other things. That Savathun voice actor is killing it. I mean, Zavala was great. Rest in peace. Yeah, I'm so sad about it.
Great. I like Nathan Fillion as Cade Six in Destiny. Also, I thought Nolan North did a good job as well, but he was just doing his best Nathan Fillion impression.
Remember when Peter Dinklage did it? Oh man,
Dinklebot.
The Dinklebot was fantastic. I'm a fan of it. Also, I mean, Master Chief's voice great. Cortana's voice great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jen Taylor is just a good voice actor in general, like across all of the projects she's been on. Jennifer Hale also is like kind of a legend, right?
All of the
Metal Gear Solid, but also everything. Female Shepherd, tons of everything.
Yeah, every Gears of War character is well done for voice acting. There's just so many good ones, you know, that I'm into all of them. Except I feel like I'm in the same boat with other people because it didn't bother me at first. I thought it was fine. How do you feel about Zelda in the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games?
It's fine. It's tough when it's a character that for like 25 plus years I've been sort of putting my own voice to because she's been silent for so long. But like, there's just no way you can actually nail, like, it's not realistic to assume that they're gonna nail it, right?
Yeah,
So it's just like I think she does a great job, and it's not the voice that was in my head, and that's not her fault. She's not in my head. I'm kind of glad she's not in my head. That would be weird.
that would be weird. I just didn't think of her as being that British. I don't know why. It's just very British to me, which is again, it's fine. But some people really don't like it. Some people like have strong opinions about it.
Oh, no,
Those people hate the British. Okay, what can we
that's
do? It's weird. It's a weird thing to be. But okay, so those are some of my favorites. I feel like we kind of nailed it there. That was our whole. That's like all our emails that we have to read and our mailbag stuff. If you want to send us an email, you can do it at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com, or you can go into our Discord, the mailbag channel, which is under Codex News. I put it up there so it's like standing out from all the other text channels.
hmm
And you can just go ahead and drop a little question there. Bear in mind, I will be reading your Discord name on the podcast, so let's keep it appropriate. And also, if it's something you're not comfortable with me reading, just put in the message how you want to be called. That'll probably be the best way to do it.
but everybody will be able to go into Discord and see it. So
Yeah, that's true. Everyone will be able to see it, so just know that.
you are responsible for changing your name if it's not something you want it to be.
And if it is an inappropriate name, I probably just won't read your question. So there's that too. Sorry, that's your bad name luck there. But you can change it pretty easy. You can make a nickname in the channel just for this channel too, so you can have your name weird everywhere else. All right, Tyler, what you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of games this week. Big ones, Sea of Stars, that came out. I'm really loving the old school JRPG vibe with many, many quality of life upgrades, so it doesn't feel quite as tedious as some older JRPGs that I experienced because I just played the first two Final Fantasy games, and they're great, but they feel like old JRPGs because they are. And Sea of Stars is really, really awesome at preserving the feeling of those old games while keeping low levels of frustration.
Yeah.
So that game's great. I'm having a good time going through that. Quake 2, we're playing the remaster, you and me.
Oh, it's so fun. You know what's
Yeah.
fun? Not having to ever hit a reload button.
Yeah. That's nice.
I love it.
Playing some Baldur's Gate. You'll probably talk a lot about Baldur's Gate. It's not really grabbing me the way that it seems to be grabbing every single other human in the world.
That's okay.
I think I just don't really like fantasy stories.
It's okay. I mean, it's fine. I mean, the podcast is over, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. I'm just
This is our last episode.
It's the last episode. No, that's fine.
There's just too much going on.
There is a lot going on.
No matter what I do, I'm making a mistake. And I had a few really frustrating moments of me just like not really knowing how D&D works, but also how just like how the game kind of works, which is it was just extremely frustrating.
Can I try to alleviate your frustrations, or do you want me to wait until you're done with your what you've been playing segment? Because
You can alleviate my
I've
frustration.
had this exact same experience where I was so concerned about doing something wrong. And I'm going to tell you that the game does a pretty good job of pushing you in a direction that's okay. Everything's going to be okay if something doesn't happen right. Because there is a big decision, actually, I'm going to say a big moment in Act 2 where if something happens to a particular NPC, it's going to either make you have a really bad time or just a bad time. And that's decision I was so worried about. But then I've talked to other people who have the really bad part happen and it was fine. They still beat the game. Like, it's not a big deal. The game is designed to like let you make mistakes, and you can still beat the game if you make mistakes.
I'm not, I'm not worried about like choices in the game.
Oh,
Like,
you're not worried about choices. You're just worried
no,
about like,
I'm having like mechanical issues of like walked in, like clicked on where I wanted to go. I walked in a straight line, walked across fire, and died. Then I resurrected myself in that fire, died again because I guess I didn't know you can resurrect. You can like choose where somebody gets resurrected. So I resurrected my like
yeah.
character in that fire again. They died again, and now the character's just dead.
I had that experience when I played Divinity Original Sin 2, and that's where I got frustrated. And I've never finished Divinity Original Sin 2, but I'm playing Baldur's Gate and I'm understanding it more and more because I know the rules of D&D. That's helping me out a lot. Now, that's not an excuse. This should be completely accessible to everyone. I truly believe that. So if you are having a bad time with those kind of rules, I get it. I've had guys die in the dumbest ways because I didn't turn turn-based mode on. Like, I walked into an area that was dangerous and it didn't it does a good job usually of automatically turning turn-based mode on, but
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't, and then your guys are just chilling and they get murdered just out of nowhere. um Trying to keep it as spoiler free, I walked into a room in a house that had these cursed items in it, and those items just kept doing damage to me over time, and I didn't notice it, and then all of a sudden my whole party was dead, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
And that is frustrating. 100% agree with you. That's frustrating. And that's like, I think it's more of a CRPG thing though than
I think so.
necessarily like a Baldur's Gate specific thing. I think it really is like all of the CRPG genre. Things can go so wrong so quickly. In the same way, turn-based combat in XCOM can go wrong very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was extreme, and my bad experience came after I had sort of accidentally not accidentally, but, like, I had split the party, which I guess, hey, you're not supposed to do that.
But you can. That's the
If
thing.
we're
You,
if
the
you have
freedom's there to do it. So
well, I did not feel like I had been granted the freedom to do this. I feel like I just made a terrible, terrible decision, and then, but I split the party and like sent somebody off to kind of do some exploring, and they got into a conversation with some people, and I was like, oh, in case this conversation goes south, I should probably get my other member of the party there because my only one of my party members could like jump in the way that needed to get up there, and then I found that they could go around. So I was like, oh well, I'll just send my other party member around so they can be there in case something goes south in this conversation. And they got into a fight, and then I was like, shoot, I need to get my other character out of this conversation so they can come help in this fight. And they got into a fight in that conversation. It went south. And now I had two fights happening at the same time where either of those fights would have been hard with just my two characters, but there's no way to win them with just one. And so then I was just like, well, this is dumb. And then I reloaded and then I had the fire problem. And I was like, okay, I can't play this right now.
yeah, I get it. No, I totally get it. It's not for everybody. I definitely had a moment where I wanted a choice to go one way in a particular moment in Act Six that has Act Six, excuse me, Act Three that has no take backsies,
Mm,
and I spent about 3 hours reloading and scum saving and being that guy just so I could get the ending I wanted for that. But that's just how I like to play those games. You know what I mean? Whereas some people are like, just go in, like whatever happens happens, which I plan on doing next run through. I am going to play this game as an open hand monk doing whatever happens. That's how I'm going to play it. I'm going to rarely hit the F5 key is my plan. And just see how it goes. But the only thing you really need to worry about, I feel like in Baldur's Gate 3 is befriending the dog. That's really that's the whole game. If you befriend the dog, you win the game.
make sure you befriend the dog. Got it.
Yep, that's the game. That's how you win.
Yeah. I think that's all I've been playing this week. I played a little bit of some Call of Duty multiplayer because I just got a new graphics card. I wanted to sort of test it out.
Was it the
That
new Call
was
of
a little,
Duty?
yeah.
Oh, nice.
I bought it. It was on sale recently, the newest Call of Duty. So I
The
was like,
two Modern Warfare 2.
yeah. So I bought that and I played a little. I tried to play some Battlefield 2042 and it runs like garbage. It's like really trash, and I didn't really want to mess with the settings to like try to get it to not run. It would run it like very smoothly for like 2 seconds, and then it would just like drop, and then it would like freeze for like a full second.
That's
So it was
so
like
lame.
very weird. Yeah, I was not having a good time there.
Yeah,
Uh,
they've really, I mean, as someone who loves Battlefield, I feel like they've really let this franchise go downhill.
yeah.
They just keep swinging and missing. They're trying new things, but then realistically in 2042 they didn't really try enough. Like there's no campaign. It's just kind of a multiplayer sandbox is what they did for the newest one,
Yeah.
and it whiffed.
Well, I think that's all I've kind of been playing this week. What about you?
Well, Baldur's Gate 3, Quake 2 with you. I played Fallout 76 about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I played with our friends, and it was really fun. It seems like a kind of game where you're like rudderless a little bit. It's kind of the point of it, right? It kind of felt the same way Monster Hunter felt with me, where you're kind of like you get out of it what you put into it. And I wasn't really feeling that kind of game right now. But I did enjoy the setting. The setting was beautiful and it had a fun thing. And they have radio where you can listen to country roads. So that makes sense. That
Oh, yep.
tracks.
Makes sense. West Virginia.
Yeah, it works perfect. Don't sing more of it though. We don't want to get taken down,
It's
right?
fair use. Fair use. I can sing a little bit.
We
Fair
gotta be
use.
careful. Okay, okay. But I played that, and then I recently, this isn't really what you've been playing, but I went to PAX West yesterday, kind of dating when we're recording this. But I just experienced some really cool stuff there, and I didn't get to play as many games as I'd liked because the lines were so crazy, but I did get to play the new Prince of Persia game and try that demo, and that was really fun.
That's like a 2D in the style of the original, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that what I wrote in the Discord in the text message the thread that you're in is the same thing I'm going to say on this podcast. It feels like Dead Cells, and I mean that as a compliment.
Oh,
It's fun. It's a good time. I had a really fun time playing it. I also feel good because I'm looking around me during the demo, and I made it farther than anyone. Hey, look at that!
nice.
But then I also I didn't get to play as many games as I wanted, and there's a couple games I didn't get to play that I just want to talk about. There's a new indie game called Pacific Drive that looks like it's doing something really cool because we talked about how we wanted a Fallout zone in our Pacific Northwest area. This is an indie game based in the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State. And
Ooh.
the idea is the Olympic Peninsula is now an exclusion zone, like you see in those like movies where the government shuts it down because something weird happened there, and you
Mhm.
go exploring in a car. But it's like a driving game, but there's like more. It's a survival driving game. It's kind of a cool genre blend, which seems kind of neat.
Mad Max game?
Yeah, a little bit Mad Max. Yeah, you couldn't really fight anything though. It didn't look like it was just like you get in your car, you drive around. I didn't get to play it. I just watched it for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it looked kind of cool. So that was a good one. There's there's a new Warhammer 40K RPG coming out that I forget the name of. Actually, I have a picture of it on my phone. I guess I could share what the picture is of it. It seems like we're kind of going through a CRPG renaissance. Have you noticed
Mhm.
that?
Yeah.
That's like a thing that's kind of happening now. It's called Rogue Trader is what it's called. Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, and that's the name of it. But the craziest thing I did, and the thing I did play that was weird, and I posted this in the Discord, is they had a booth for PUBG, and you played PUBG on an arcade, which at first you think sounds pretty cool, right? Like that's a neat thing. Did you see my picture that I sent in the general chat? It might have gotten lost in the shuffle.
I think it got lost. I didn't see it, I don't think.
This PUBG arcade machine, but it had like your joystick on the left for like you're moving and you're aiming, and then they had another one, but then it had all of these buttons. Like I want to say 15 different buttons for like crouch, um, go prone, reload. Like it didn't make sense at all to be an arcade machine. And I just thought it was such a hard, yeah. So I'm looking here. There's pickup, reload, run, jump, crouch, look, fire mode, next weapon. Like it just goes all over the place. And it was just such a weird way to play PUBG as someone who used to play it pretty regularly on Xbox Live that I just wanted to share my weird experience with it and how it was just an odd, and it kind of made me want to know if there's like good arcade machines for first person shooters, modern first person shooters. So if
Yeah.
anyone knows of a good modern first person shooter arcade game that's not like on a rail, like with the gun is the controller.
Fireteam Raven was kinda cool, the Halo one, but it's just a rail shooter.
Yeah, I want to not. If anyone's seen a non-rail shooter, first-person shooter in an arcade setup, let me know because I'm really interested in this idea. So, and I posted it into the Discord if you want to take a look at some of the pictures I posted of it because it's a weird thing. And then the last thing I want to talk about too is I went to one panel and it was on the No Clip documentary guys.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool having them there, and I love NoClip, and it's kind of funny because I didn't really know about NoClip until I started doing a video game history podcast, and I was like, "Oh, these guys are just doing what we do, but they have a budget and it's really good."
It's their whole life.
And they're interviewing and everything, yeah. But it was just really fun, and they have some documentaries in the bag that I'm like super excited to come out, and I'll share them in the Discord when they do. But I'm really excited about it, and it was really cool seeing other people that do video game history and like watch like hearing them speak and stuff. So that was really neat. That was just my experience, but that's kind of it for today. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Tyler?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right, next week I do plan on trying to get a little bit more done next week with the old history of Nintendo before video games. We're gonna finish that next week. That's the
Awesome.
plan because I'm trying to fix that so I can get some weird stuff I want to talk about out of the way. With that, if you want to join our Discord, if you want to send us an email, if you want to contact us in any way or look at our Trello boards, the best thing you can do is go to codexpodcast.net. That has everything you would ever need. It's got all of our links and everything there. And with that, Tyler, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody.